We're going to start again. I want to respond before we practice to a few things that were said to me during the break. First of all, we have only been talking for about an hour and a half. This is a very large and ancient tradition, so yes, not everything has been covered yet. There is a great deal more to say, vast, endless amounts more to say, both specifically about what we're teaching here and also many ramifications of what we're teaching. Just as a matter of fact, this particular weekend we're having 4 more classes after this one, all of which will deal with many different aspects. We're going to repeat this class also, but we're also having 3 other completely different classes that will go into many other aspects and implications of what you're learning. We'll tell you more about that later, but just so you should know. Also, in addition to the materials that you'll be given at the end of this class, as it happens, everything that is happening now is being recorded and videoed, and we have the Ananda India website. And within a day or so, you can go there and you'll be able to watch the whole thing again if you want to. Just meaning in terms of you don't have to remember everything. So just pick up what you can and you can re-listen, or the notes that we'll be giving you afterwards will tell you. It just takes time to learn these things. Okay, now before we practice, someone asked me a very important question that I didn't cover properly that really needs to be said. The point between the eyebrows is a point of concentration that's well known, and when I'm talking about doing the Hong Sau technique, I'm talking about bringing our concentration to the point between the eyebrows, because also that's where the breath and the point between the eyebrows come together. This is a divine plan. This is not an accident. But of course, when I touch my forehead between the eyebrows here, it immediately makes us sort of think about drawing our energy back into our bodies. And words are somewhat inadequate to give the right images about what the meditation practice is really like. We have to experience it. And part of the difficulty is that it even though we use the body, we're in the body, and it's our starting point for accessing these more expanded stages of consciousness. The consciousness, it's not happening within the body. It's not a physical experience. So it's not like it's somewhere in your brain that you're trying to find this. This is the best way that I have found that works to describe how to concentrate. Let me add one other point to this. The position of the eyes is related to the 3 states of consciousness that I described. As a public speaker, I sometimes get to watch people fall asleep. I hope not often, but sometimes I get to watch people fall asleep. So I can verify that when you fall asleep, your eyes drop. You know, your eyelids drop, but your eyes also drop. From the horizon line, when you look below the horizon line, you're falling into subconsciousness. And so even sometimes people who will talk to you, who won't look you in the eye, they look down a lot. A lot of times people who look down when they're talking to you are relating more to their own reality than to yours. And that's why they just instinctively drop their eyes below the horizon line. When we're wide awake and trying to understand something, we tend to look straight forward. And when we're trying to be inspired or to retrieve a memory from a higher place, you find that you raise your eyes anyway, don't you? You just sort of look up. Oh yes, I remember. Because the body reflects states of consciousness. So we use that when we meditate. So what we want to be doing when we're meditating, of course our eyes are closed, but still we're looking just above the horizon line. Now physically speaking, here are the eyes and here is the spiritual eye, and the spiritual eye is just above the horizon line. It's not way up like this, although sometimes that happens to you automatically, but you can't force it. It's just too tense. But you're just very comfortably looking just above the horizon line. Now also what we're doing is we're taking the 2 eyes of the physical body, which sees the duality of this world, and we're uniting it into the single eye of spirit. In the Christian Bible, Jesus says, "If thine eye be single, thy whole body will be full of light." Very few Western Christians understand what that means, but Jesus was teaching yoga, and he said we go from the 2 eyes of spirit, of the world, to the single eye of spirit, which is light. So when we concentrate at the point between the eyebrows here, the spiritual eye, whatever we call it, if you put your hand out in front of you like this and just raise your thumb up, do this with me, just like this, with your eyes open, you see there's a point out there where your two eyes will comfortably come to a focus. And so you sort of look at your thumb and raise it up just a little bit and sort of see where your eyes are focused. And then close your eyes, but keep the physical eyes looking out to that same point. The most important factor is, you can open your eyes now and put your hands down. The most important factor is eyes slightly above the horizon line, eyes comfortably focused, because all of meditation is about relaxation. So you don't want to be doing anything that's causing you to feel very tense. So just comfortably looking out. And then here's one more factor that I found very helpful. Because, and this is more than I can go into at length, our consciousness is identified with ego, which is the medulla here. When we're sitting inside with closed eyes, I try to imagine, and eventually you will see this, like an opening of light, as if it's a portal leading out of this world into the superconscious world. So that when you close your eyes, it's like you're just looking out a window that's just a little higher than eye level. And again, bring in the feeling nature. Feel as if you're drawn powerfully to that. If you were standing on a cliff and there was a beautiful ocean in front of you and the sun is going down, and you closed your eyes and felt what that looks like. So that we use our feeling and our imagination to make more rich the meditation experience. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, as for details about when and how and so on to do this practice at home, we'll do after we practice a little now. So is everybody comfortable enough with the basic practice? Okay, let's practice some now. Okay. Okay, everyone sit comfortably. If it's better, you can sit toward the edge of your chair and you can sit up a little straighter. Choose a position for the hands that works for you, whatever that might be, preferably not with palms down. Okay, so we're going to start first by just doing a little measured breathing, on just inhaling and exhaling to a very comfortable count. Count like 10, inhale, 1 to 10, hold the breath for the same count, exhale to that same count. Very, very simple pranayama. Let's just try that together. Whatever count works for you, don't strain, okay? Let's just do a few breaths like that. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale comfortably to the same count. Inhale. Now, before we start our meditation proper, we want to put ourselves in right relationship with the superconscious. Most effective way to do that is through the power of prayer. So if you would respond, I'm going to lead you responsively in a very simple prayer. Heavenly Father, please repeat after me. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, great gurus, saints and masters of all religions, humbly we bow to you all. May the divine light awaken and purify my heart and bring enlightenment to all beings. Feel then that our meditation effort is not only for ourselves, but also for our ability to be transmitters of this light into the world. Now, we want to be aware of the breath. And when the breath flows in, we want to mentally repeat the first half of the mantra, Hong. And as the breath flows out, mentally we repeat silently, Saw. And feel as the breath flows in that the divine light, divine life force is being gifted to us. And as the breath flows out, that we relax ever more deeply into that divine truth. Watch the breath wherever you can be actually aware of it. If you, in fact, even need to put your hand on your diaphragm to feel it, that's all right at the beginning. Gradually see if you can bring it to an awareness of the nostrils, ultimately to the spiritual eye. Feel the energy. Now begin at whatever point after you exhale the next incoming breath. Hong as the breath flows in, Saw as the breath flows out, eyes comfortably above the horizon line, looking out into the light. Your mind will wander. You will forget the breath. I am not cursing you. I am just telling you that will happen. As soon as it happens, say, oh, here I am doing the Hong Saw. Find the breath and begin again. It doesn't matter how many times you wander. Each time you wander, just bring it back. And we'll meditate here together for some minutes. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. When we meditated, the silent part of the meditation was almost 10 minutes. So that is a good beginning for you all. Now I'd like to ask for questions, what you may not have understood before I go and give you many other practical sides or comments or thoughts. Pardon me, who's speaking?
Posture is fine. The meditation posture is really important, right?
The posture is important.
So your posture is fine, but I find people are sitting cross-legged or leaning back. Nobody's spine is erect.
That's very good. It's
I want you to correct that because you mentioned in your speech that spine should be erect.
the spine should be straight, but we don't have a habit of sitting with a straight spine, so it's not possible immediately to make that happen. So we make the spine as straight as we can. Everybody wants to meditate lying down because then you're relaxed and the spine is straight. But the association between lying down and going to sleep is too great. Most chairs in the world, probably those, are part of what one Swami called the international conspiracy against proper sitting and breathing. So that's just a fact. We're all caught in it. That's why sometimes you come out to the edge of the chair like this and you're more comfortable. But in the second half, after the lunch break, we're going to give you some exercises for strengthening the energy in the spine that will gradually make sitting more comfortable. If you're also sitting on the floor, even though you all are comfortable sitting, Devendra, you can demonstrate this for me. If you put a cushion under your behind, when you sit on the floor, sometimes it makes it easier to sit straight. In fact, if you fold that cushion in, well, he can do it straight just like that. As a Westerner, I have to fold it in half. If the cushion is high enough, it tilts your pelvis slightly forward. And then even if you feel like you're comfortable, try putting a cushion under you. In fact, even high enough so that your knees are tilted slightly down, and you will find that it's much easier to hold your spine straight. Even on a chair, if you fold a blanket up and just raise up your backside a little bit higher, tilt your pelvis down and the spine automatically goes straighter. So if you're having trouble, as this gentleman observes that everyone has trouble, experiment a little bit. Sometimes you find actually a flat bench, like a piano bench, is more comfortable than a chair because it holds you better. You also may find, for those of you who are sitting on chairs, depending how tall or short you are, if you put something under your feet, if you're a little short and you put a cushion under your feet, you find if your legs are raised up just a little bit, then it's easier to make your back comfortable. All of these are the things that you have to experiment with. Bear in mind, meditation is most effective because of your intention. All of the little details that we're talking about now help, but the most important thing is that you do it. If you meditate regularly and you're a little bit bent over, that's really just fine compared to saying, I can't meditate at all because I can't hold my spine perfectly straight. God is fair. He's very fair and he understands. So just do your best and don't worry so much about the details. The most important thing is you're supposed to be is relaxed. So if you've just spent your whole life with your shoulders slightly bent over, you're just not going to be able to pull them back now that you've decided to meditate. So you just have to sort of work with it as best you can. I have even sometimes, you can lean against the wall. You can fold your legs and put your spine up against the wall. If that's the only way that you can sit with a straight spine relaxed, that's better than not doing it at all. Okay? Yes?
Is it okay to inculcate the hand-saw technique in your day-to-day breathing, even when you're not meditating?
The question is whether or not you can do the Hong Saw breathing all the time. It's recommended that you only do it when you're focused. It's not a technique, because the Hong Saw technique will eventually lead to the cessation of the breath. You will find suddenly, and I didn't mention that yet, that there may be longer and longer pauses between the inhalation and the exhalation, and eventually the physical breath ceases and it is just the energy flow in the spine. The Hong Sau technique is really very, very sophisticated and leads you very deep. None of that is possible if your body is active. So if you want to observe your breath while you're active, which is a very good practice, use a different mantra. Reveal thyself, Om Guru, Om Shanti. But the idea of using mantra with the inhalation and the exhalation at all times is a very good idea. But the Hong Sau technique should be used just for meditation. For the same reason, don't use it to go to sleep at night. Because sometimes people say, oh, this is so relaxing, I'll just do this every night before I go to sleep, and then you'll also go to sleep every time you sit to meditate. So don't do that. Follow the breath, but perhaps in a different way. Good question. Yes, sir.
When we inhale, we will think of the portion of the mantra, Hong.
Yes.
And when we exhale, we should think of the portion of the mantra, Sau.
Yes.
Hong Sau. And what is the meaning for that Hong, and what is the meaning for that Sau?
I am,
Hong means
I am. Tell me, Devendra, how do you define that better? I am he. I am, and then the saw is the he part of it, yes? Yeah. I am is when you inhalation, the baby breathes, it's the affirmation of life force coming in, I am. And then the saw is the definition of that life force. I am one with the infinite. The simple words are I am he, but it's I, the life that is in me is one with the infinite life. Does that, you want to say that better? Yes, please say better.
So this mantra we are saying I am he, we are saying I am he, aham brahmasmi, you have heard that. There are also in Sanskrit they say soham. We have Swami Kriyananda, he was giving a satsang here last week, and somebody asked the same question. So why not we say soham? Why we are saying aham saha? When we say aham saha, I am he, we are putting more emphasis on he, which is we are saying God, that I am part of the God. When we say soham, we are saying he is I. We are putting more focus on I, which is more ego, you can say. So that's the same thing, aham brahmasmi, we are saying it, I am part of the God, I'm the soul. And that way we are getting rid of the ego consciousness. That's the aim of the meditation. So that's another thing we can think of, thinking of this mantra, Hong Sau.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so keep your microphone. Another question? Yes.
As the concentration improves, there is a tendency to slow down the breath.
Right.
And sometimes it kind of pauses
Right.
till you realize it has stopped.
Right.
Is it okay? Or?
Oh, absolutely. The question is, the more your concentration deepens, the slower the breath becomes, and then the breath will pause. Breathlessness is the inevitable result of deep meditation because the physical breath is an outward manifestation of the life force flowing up and down the spine. So when we get into the energy of the spine, there's no need to breathe anymore. And that begins with our concentration simply slowing down. And there will be longer and longer pauses. Now, the point of this exercise, and we go back to where we started, this is an exercise in awareness. So we're not trying to make that happen, but we're just trying to experience it happening. So we don't try to slow it and we don't try to stop it. But when it slows and when it stops, we experience the increased sense of both awareness and calmness and deeper inner realization that automatically comes with it. So that's exactly what should happen. Very good. Let me ask behind you, yes.
This technique actually, both things we should be conscious, I think, because we have to focus the eyes and we should not come down, and at the same time we are also we are conscious of the brain.
Right.
Twice simultaneously should be done. Is it not?
It's all at the same time, because your eyes are always going to be somewhere. Watch this, you will see. If your mind has become restless, you will see that your eyes have dropped. And one of the ways to calm your mind is to raise your eyes again. And your eyes may have dropped all the way down if you're really just fussing around. But it's like driving a car or like doing anything. It seems like a lot of things at first, but after a while you just set yourself in a certain way and then it goes in a natural manner. Does that make sense? Is that the question? Yeah? Okay. Of course.
So we are trying to say in the beginning, okay, you feel the breath here or here or here, but as we progress, we'll feel the breath here also. A time will come, our eyes will be up, we can feel the breath here also. At that time, everything will join together. So in the beginning, yes, it is kind of a split, you can say. We are trying to keep our eyes up, we are trying to feel the breath here, but at some time, it will come natural to you because that's our natural state. It will fit, all of them will fit together at one place. Eyes will be up, feel the breath here, and consciousness will be high up also.
Should we have the gaze always in the horizon? Or
We try to keep our gaze up all the time, but you see as you are meditating, eyes will go down. As you think the subconscious thought, eyes go down, and you realize that, oh, I'm thinking, my eyes are down. Bring the eyes up, start chanting the mantra Hangsa, practice meditation again. So that is a practice. That we keep practicing this technique, bring the eyes up. This is a practice. And it will take time. It's not going to happen in 1 week or 2 weeks. It just takes time.
Eyes, when you're saying it's actually looking to the front outside, or you actually
Well, you're looking, well, your eyes are closed, so you're not really looking anywhere, but you're expanding from where you are. That's why I have the image of, imagine a beautiful window, that there's just a beautiful field of light. And if you were physically sitting in front of a window that was opening out into a field of light, your consciousness would flow out into that. So with eyes closed, that's the feeling you're trying to create. You're trying to release yourself from the confinements of the body, not concentrate in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I found that when I focus it right on the center, that's easier than imagining it outside.
There are two ways to approach this. One is we can look from outside. We can, as we taught you, look at the thumb here, but don't cross your eyes. Don't cross like this, and you make yourself painful. Make it very relaxed, very comfortable. Look in the front, little bit, eyes gazing up. That's the one way to look from the outside. There is a way we can do from inside also. Inside, how we do it is a practice when we say, this is medulla oblongata, which we are going to talk about later in the class. It's a seat of the ego also. Before meditation, when you sit, focus all your concentration at medulla oblongata and look from that point at the spiritual eye. That's a perfect angle you will be looking at. But it may not be easy in the beginning. That's why we are teaching from the outside first. So in the next class, we'll be teaching you all these things. So for the starting, take this point. Start this point. It takes a practice also. Don't cross your eyes. Just be very gentle. The gaze should be very gentle. Okay? And it's not too physical also. Don't think that you're gazing your eyes and make it too forced. No. It is very relaxed. It is very gentle gazing upward of the eyes. Yes. Okay?
Why don't you go for a while?
Can you compromise or can you accommodate count of inhale and count of exhale and count of relation and hang some?
Yes.
How to
So we say that everybody has a different capacity to breathe. Some people can breathe for 6 counts, some people can for 7 counts, some people 8 count or 10 count. But what we have to do that make those breath equal. 6, 6, 6, 6 inhaling, 6 hold, 6 exhale. So or 8 or 8 or 8. Whatever is comfortable for you, do that way.
but if we concentrate on that, hangsa we forget.
No, that is a pranayama. We are trying to quiet our mind. This is not the part of the hangsa. It's a preparation for the hangsa. The technique which precedes hangsa. Okay?
But that count may differ. Sometimes 6, sometimes 7.
Whatever you are comfortable, make it and do it at the same time. Do it the same counts.
We do not know.
But
If I count for 6. Literally the 6 means should I be very precise?
Wait, you must understand, by the time you're actually doing the Hong Som mantra, you're not counting anymore. And because this is an exercise in awareness, so you need to just be observing what's happening. And even when you're doing the preparation, precision is less important than just the flow of it. So if it occupies your mind, I find so much when people meditate, we just take into meditation whoever we are, and so if we're very precise, if it makes you feel better to be very precise and you feel more secure, then be very precise. If you tend not to be quite so precise, the details are not where it. Yeah, it doesn't happen. Success is not from the details. Success is from the intention of the heart and the flow of your energy. And then the details take care of themselves. Don't be sloppy. Don't be casual. Just say, oh, it doesn't matter. But don't become too obsessed about the little things, because then you miss the point. One of Patanjali's warnings, missing the point. Okay. This gentleman back here.
Any specific time for doing this?
Any specific? These are things that we need to talk about now. That's a very good question. Devendra, do you want to just answer? His question is specified times for meditating?
Yeah. So that's a thing we are going to talk about, the aids to meditation. When to meditate, how long to meditate, which direction to face, all these small things which are aids to meditation we are going to talk about. The first question you already raised is when to meditate. Our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda ji recommended there are 4 good times to meditate. Morning 6, noon 12, evening 6, night 12. These are the 4 times for very good for meditation. Why is it so? Because he says that there are rest point in the nature. The nature moves very gradually, and when you align yourself with the nature, you will get that rest point also in yourself, because you are all connected with the nature. So because you see the sun, it doesn't go top and does quickly. It just moves very slowly, you can say. So that's what we are trying to do here also. That align with yourself, but the best point, the most important point is meditate when you can. Make a point, if you wake up at 7 o'clock and say that, oh, 6 o'clock is past in the morning, I'm not going to meditate. That's over. Don't say that. Make a point which is convenient for you. If it is 8 o'clock in the morning, fine. Some people can wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, that is also very good. So don't say that 6:12 is good, and I want to meditate only that time, and if I miss that, I'm not going to meditate. Make your own time for meditation. It could be 4 o'clock in the morning if it's good for you. It could be 8 o'clock in the morning, if that is good for you. Choose a time and stick to it. In the very beginning, it's very good to make a habit of meditation. Like you brush your teeth every morning, you get up, brush your teeth, read newspaper, have tea. Same way, make a habit of meditation. That when you get up, you think that, okay, what I need to do? I need to meditate. So over the period of years, that's what I have done. I had the habit of getting up, brush my teeth, and have tea. Now when I get up, brush my teeth and meditate. So make that association in your mind of meditation, that when to meditate. And when you see your clock, oh, this is my time to meditate, you go for the meditation. It makes it easier. Same thing also in the afternoon also, when you are in the office, you can meditate there just for 5 minutes, take a break, just go somewhere, nobody can see you, or anywhere. In these times, I have heard that people have meditation rooms in the offices also. In the Microsoft, they have provide all these things. So, and that's easier actually. So you can go and take a time, 1 o'clock lunch break, go and meditate there. So it doesn't mean if you cannot do it 12 o'clock, you don't have to do it. You have to do it, you can do it. So choose at the time in the evening also same way. Some people like to do, some people can meditate in the morning well, some people can meditate in the evening well. Everybody has a different rhythm. Find your time when you can meditate well. In the morning, in the evening, in the night, whenever you can. But the most important thing is to do it, as Asha ji said. So that's all I will say for the timing for the meditation. Anything else you can add?
It is often good to meditate in the reason Devendra mentions the end of the day, the beginning of the day, because often if you meditate in a closer relationship to either before you sleep or after you have just woken up. I don't have a board in front of me, so I'm going to describe something in the air and see if you can see it. Imagine a capital Y, a letter like that, but it's lying over on its side. So we have a V, and then we have a straight line right here. When this straight line is our conscious mind, and we're active here. And when we go to sleep, we roll back to the conscious mind, and we come right to this point where our V is. And what we do is we put out less and less energy, and then we fall asleep, right? When we meditate, we sort of do the same things that we're going to do as if we're going to go to sleep. You know, we put on comfortable clothes conceivably, we don't talk anymore, we go to a quiet place, we roll back the conscious mind. But when we come to this V, instead of putting out less and less energy, we put out more and more energy, and we go up toward the superconscious. So actually, you see conscious, subconscious, and superconscious all come together at one point. It's not like they're lined up the way we normally think of it. So also, this is a good thing because no one has mentioned it yet, but often what happens when you start meditating is you start falling asleep. Because the habit of reaching this intersection is to put out less and less energy, and so then we go into subconscious, then you find that your eyes have dropped and your mind is spinning. That's why we have so many different elements of the meditation. We have observing the breath, we have doing the mantra, we have feeling what the mantra is, we have the eyes up, so that when we are at this junction point, we go up. Now, what we're trying to do also, and this is the power of meditation, not only in meditation practice itself, but this is the power of meditation to transform your life. Because you may think that this is a small practice. You may think even that 5-10 minutes a day, how can that change everything? But it will change everything. Even if you think your meditation itself is not going very well, you will find that everything in your life has changed because you are not only bringing yourself into superconscious, but you are creating a new reality in your subconscious. Bear in mind, subconscious is only everything that's already happened. And when you start infusing your subconscious mind with superconscious energy, then all those vrittis in the spine, all those habits, all those inclinations, in a way that I can only describe as miraculous, truly begin to shift. And you suddenly find that, quote, since I started meditating, everything has been different. And for that reason, it's beneficial to meditate in a fairly close relationship, if you can, to the times that you're coming in and out of subconsciousness. I don't mean while you're in subconsciousness, but when you first wake up in the morning, all of your awareness, all of every level is accessible to you. And if in that moment you wake up, you do whatever little things you need to do to make yourself awake, whether that's drinking your tea or not, that's where the awake and ready also comes from. If you meditate right then, not only do you infuse yourself with superconscious, you also begin to infuse your subconscious with superconscious. And then it begins to feed you positive thoughts, because your subconscious becomes your friend eventually. You see what I mean? So also to meditate the last thing at night, close to the time that you go to sleep, if it works for you, is also then you take that energy into your sleep, and it makes it easier to wake up and meditate. It also begins to transform that whole level of your reality. That's what makes a saint so different than the rest of us, is that every aspect of his energy is focused towards superconsciousness. There is no real subconscious anymore. Swami Kriyananda has mentioned that. Is exactly the same in his dreams, in his sleep. There's no conflicting reality. It's all been infused for him. And this is how we get to that point. For some people, meditating before sleep is too late. They do better meditating at the 6 o'clock transition. The midnight transition is too hard. But Devendra is absolutely right. The ideal time to meditate is when you will meditate. Okay? Regularity helps, though. Just like, it's 9 o'clock, it's time for my tea. It's noon, it's time for my lunch. It's 6 o'clock, it's time for my meditation. You get habit to work for you. It's very beneficial. Yeah.
If someone is having an habit of going to gymnasium, do the physical exercise, can they combine this meditation and the exercise together?
I don't understand. How would you combine physical exercise?
I'm just asking, if someone is habitual to go to gym regularly, I regularly used to go to gym. So do I need to actually give that up completely to get into this meditation, or can I combine this?
Healthy body is a great aid to meditation. And vitality is a great aid to meditation, so physical is a great aid to meditation. You just have to figure out your schedule. Yeah, I had a picture of you lifting weights and doing the Hong Saw at the same time. I couldn't bring that together, but I see what you're asking. No, you have to find, see, here's something else you have to understand. You think you don't have time for meditation. People think, I don't have time for meditation. Everyone says that. But meditation does a number of things that are very interesting. It makes you happier, makes you stronger in yourself. It makes you more efficient mentally. It makes you need to sleep less. because you feel you need to escape less and you feel better in yourself. So you find if you add meditation into your life, it doesn't seem to really come out of anything else you're doing, because everything else in your life seems to flow better. And you also need, everybody has what we call downtime, time when you're just doing nothing because you feel you need a break. When you begin to nurture yourself in what I would say you have uptime instead of downtime, you find that you just don't need as much of that. And you can easily pull 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours out of your day, and you don't even feel that it came out of your day because of the benefits that you get from it. So you have to take that on faith at the beginning, but it's surprising how quickly it works. It's like the divine is here, just waiting to shower us with positive experiences. If you want to think of it as your own superconscious, is just waiting to shower you with positive experiences. And we just go around our whole lives refusing to take that gift. And when we open up to it even a little bit, this flood of new reality comes into us, and things that we didn't think were possible suddenly just become possible. Fair enough?
Many people have got the habit of traveling many times. Nearly 8 hours they travel every day. Can they meditate if it is journey?
If it is jerky? Is that the question you asked?
Yeah, train and buses.
I have done meditation everywhere. Trains, flights, buses, cars, everywhere. When you have to do it, do it. So in the trains, many times I travel also. I'll sit meditate. It doesn't matter so much to me actually. Yeah. What? That is what I said. That every day you choose same time, whatever is convenient for you. So we can do anywhere you can do. That's the next question we are coming up. How long to meditate and how much to meditate? That you can meditate. Starting point 5 minutes maybe. Start with 5 minutes. Increase. That's a starting point. I started meditating with 2 minutes. So start with 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and see if you can increase it naturally, gradually. We see that meditate with joy. Don't say that I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes. Oh, 5 more minutes. Oh, 5 more minutes. Don't say like that. Meditate, do anything. When you do anything with joy, you enjoy it and you look forward to do it again. But if you force yourself, I'm going to meditate, I have to meditate, it's not going to happen next time. So do everything, anything, even meditation with joy. And whatever is comfortable for you in the beginning. Everybody is different. Some people have done the meditation in the past life, they can go immediately 1 hour right away. No problem at all. But if you're starting right now in this life, it might take some time. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, slowly increase it. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever is comfortable for you, increase it. Meditate.
There's no limit to how long you could meditate. You should tell them that.
Sorry?
Some meditations have a limitation. This has no limit. You can meditate as long as you can meditate.
Yes, as long as there are yogis in the autobiography yogi, they can meditate for 20 hours.
Yeah.
And if you can do it, great, you can do it. But if you cannot, then you have to realize your limitations also. You have to go slow. These things work slowly over the period of time. You cannot say, okay, I got the Kriya today, I'm going to realize God in 1 week. You cannot frame your time. You have to work best with yourself. So, and then how many times to meditate? We say that we recommend at least twice a day. It's very good we have 3 meals a day. Why not to meditate twice a day at least, or thrice a day? That's even better. In ashram, in our ashram in Pune, we have this meditation, especially the monks. They meditate 3 times a day. Morning before breakfast, we start at 6:30, something like that. Go until the breakfast, 8:30, 8:15. Again before the lunch, 1 o'clock when one is the lunch time is there. We again start 12:30, short meditation during the daytime. Again in the evening, we have early dinner. Most people, I think, here might be having dinner at 10 o'clock in the night and 9 o'clock. We have dinner at 7 o'clock in the ashram. So we most people start doing at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the evening and go until the dinner time. And then eat dinner and then read whatever they want to do, their work, they do it. So at least we say twice a day is a very good thing to do. But if you want to do thrice or 4 times, that's also a very good thing to do. Okay? So that's a general... Sorry?
Before going to bed,
That's the next question that leads us to the next question that when you eat, when we were kid, what we were told when we were going to give the exams, don't eat heavy meal just before you were going to give the exams. Isn't so? Why so?
you will get sleep.
Because all the energy goes down in the stomach. Same thing applies to meditation also. When you go for meditation, don't have a heavy meal. At least allow 3 hours before the meditation. You can have a little bit snack, a tea, that is okay. But heavy meals, no.
Anything added food for meditation?
Sorry?
Anything added or specification for food?
That we come to the next classes. We say that vegetarianism is a good thing to start, but don't be too much food fanatic. We don't say. We say like that. So go slowly, and these things comes naturally within from you. So as you go, you'll feel all these things coming from you. It will happen. We'll talk all about these things, diet and everything, in the next level of classes, level 2 classes. Yeah.
When we actually maintain on this point, will activate and expand the Agnya chakra.
Yes, this is the Agya chakra.
They normally say that without activating the other chakras, we should not focus on Agnya chakra because there will be huge imbalance of energy. And we focus on only one chakra. So how can we maintain knowledge without activating the other chakras?
You want to answer that?
The question is, if we're meditating on this, but what
That,
about the other chakras?
The question is that how can you activate this chakra without activating other chakras?
Okay, it's a very good question.
It's a very good question.
Devendra has made many references to other levels of classes. You really must understand that there is so much to teach that much of it is many classes on its own. I'm going to give you some references also here just in the moment. Ananda does Swami Kriyananda's ashrams. Many of us do a great deal of teaching, and I made reference to the fact that this class will appear on the internet. You can go to the Ananda websites, and you can actually go to a website that is Nayaswami Asha, which is my name. And I have literally hundreds of hours of classes on all of the subjects that you're asking questions about, because these are very deep questions that we can give you quick answers, but quick answers are not satisfactory. You want more. Naturally, you want more. So what we're going to do is reassure you with little answers, but you will want deeper answers, which you can get by coming to other classes that Devendra gives and going to the websites and finding other classes that I and many other Ananda people have given to help you with this. Now, to the specific question about, I was asked this also at the break about meditating on the heart. What we are teaching you is not something we made up. This is what Paramahansa Yogananda distilled from the vast possibilities of yoga practice, of how to, yoga practice meaning we are here in physical bodies. We are drawn by the fact of being in physical bodies to experience the world through the senses. But experiencing the world through the senses in identification with our ego is a very confining reality, and the heart longs for more. So the science of Kriya Yoga, the whole science of Kriya Yoga is everything about your life, not just meditating, but how to turn our attention to a higher level of reality. So he had specific things that he recommended that from his perspective of realization, he said would work. Many people will teach you many other things, and they're simply other paths. So you find a way to work with this. But speaking of all the chakras, this is, we have to say first, this is the beginning meditation technique. This is a technique of concentration to bring your attention to an inward focus, to become conscious of a deeper level of reality. Now, this Hong Sau technique will take you very, very deep into spiritual awareness. It's a starting technique, but it is not a beginner's technique in the sense that you never leave it behind. No matter how far you go in the practice of Kriya, you always continue to do this because you just see it on deeper and deeper levels. So with this technique, we are only working with the spiritual eye. We are not working with all the chakras because it's the best place to begin, because there's several things to understand. All of the chakras are actually guided by the intention of attunement with spirit, and that's what this chakra represents. This is the chakra in us that puts us in tune with superconscious guidance. And all of the other chakras have a part to play in the balanced manifestation of our life. But whether those chakras express in a way that draws our consciousness upward, or whether those chakras express in a way that draws our consciousness either outward or downward and outward, depends on the degree to which those energies are guided by our attunement with superconscious awareness. So in other words, this chakra actually governs all the other chakras. And if we increase, the more we increase energy at the spiritual eye, the more all the other chakras automatically harmonize, because instead of their energy being drawn outward or downward, their energy is drawn upward. And so even at the vibration that is necessary for a balanced life, that vibration is expressed in harmony with higher consciousness. So in truth, all you ever really need to meditate is here. But as you progress through the different levels of meditation that Devendra is referring to, that will eventually, if you choose, give you the Kriya technique. As I said, there's essentially 4 techniques. Then you begin to work with all the chakras. But you work with all the chakras even then in relation to the concentration at the spiritual eye. There are other techniques of meditation that will teach you either to meditate at the heart, to meditate at the navel, and so on. Yogananda does not recommend those, and therefore we don't teach them. It's not that they're evil or bad, but if you start here, this is the most efficient way to do it, because then everything else comes out into harmony with that. Even the heart, which the woman was asking me about, that's why I try to speak of it in terms of the feeling of what it's going to be, the aspiration of what you want. And I think we'll have a little bit of time. Meditation is a relationship with the masters, with the love of Divine Mother, because then it takes all that natural inclination of the heart, which for many of us is the motivating reason why we're here. It's not dry spiritual mathematics, it's a longing of the heart, but it directs it in the way that will really fulfill us. And so I try to bring those thoughts right into meditation right from the start, because that's the way that we're working with it. We're working with those vibrations. We're working with willpower. We're working with creativity, in fact. We're working with the groundedness of the earth chakra. We're working with all of them in their essential vibrations and then bringing them to here. Does that make sense? Okay. Wait, did you want to speak to that?
In the level 2 classes, we have a special class only for the chakras, so that we will deal that time.
Yeah.
We'll talk about all the chakras and meditation on the chakras also. We'll do that time. So this is the beginning class. This is where we are right now.
Okay. Yes.
Every time I meditate, I don't have a time span as such. I don't keep a time span like I need to meditate for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or anything like that. But I eventually end up at a point where I see kind of images. Like they are really blurred, vivid images as such. It doesn't represent anything or any form as such. I just want to know if that is normal. And the second thing is that I also feel beyond a point that there is a kind of a blink that happens of a light. Now I need to understand if, is this the point where I need to call off, because generally I would be done with it and I would be like, okay, this is enough for me today. Now that experience happens sometimes for a span of over 1 hour or 1.5 hours. Sometimes it happens within 20 minutes. Now that is something I'm not able to understand why this happens or how it happens.
The question is about various experiences, blinking lights, images, and so on.
I wouldn't say it's actually blinking lights. I would probably say it's like somebody holding a yellow paint.
The outer world, the world that we see with our senses, is the tip of the iceberg compared to the inner world. The universe of the inner world is literally infinite. So once we start entering the inner world of meditation, many, many, many things happen. Okay? Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes one of my friends thought she was having such a deep meditation, and it turned out the landlord was outside with a flashlight fixing the plumbing, and she was sitting inside and all this light was flashing. She was so excited. so we also have to keep this in balance. The benefit of what you will learn through the meditation series here, this is just the beginning of it, is it gives you a systematic way to navigate through these many things. Because what happens to us is you get really drawn away or interested in things that are really not that interesting. I'll use the foreign travel. You know, when for many years I would bring Americans to India to go to certain holy places, and they would get so excited about so many trivial things that were really not meaningful at all, but they'd never seen them before. And you know, once you live in a country, it's just ordinary. Once you get used to meditation, you begin to tell by the feeling of it, by the enduring effect of it, by the vibration that comes with it, what unusual phenomena are significant and what is just the flashing of my restless mind. Because the subconscious mind will also invade your meditation. And this is among the things that Patanjali talks about. He warns against false visions. I'm not declaring that what you're seeing is false, but it might not be as elevated as you want it to be. Of course, the spiritual eye has an image, and that spiritual eye is a golden field with a dark blue center and a white star in the middle of it. When your mind is very, very calm, you will see that. And it's not about this path or any path, it's the way the human nervous system is made. And when your mind is a little restless, you will often see an oscillating variation on that. So you will see that what you're sort of seeing is a lighter field, a darker center, and then something lighter in the middle, but it's wiggling all over the place. It's wiggling all over the place because our concentration is not profound enough. So the best thing to do, images come, lights come, while you have the Hong Saw, this is your first technique, concentrate more deeply on the technique, because what it will do is it will stabilize your consciousness, and then the images that are truly uplifting will stay with you, and the images that are not uplifting will either go away or they'll clarify. And given the concept of the spiritual eye, always concentrate deeply into the center of whatever you're seeing. And feel that I am He, I am one with the infinite spirit. Feel yourself surrendering not into the vision that you're seeing, but into that consciousness. And then God will take you. He'll take you where He wants you to go. And you don't have to really worry about all the other things that are happening. Does that make sense to it? Sometimes these things are a little, I remember once I said something to Swamiji about a little something that was happening, and his answer was not what I expected him to say. He said, "Don't be afraid." I said back in this very tense, frightened voice, "I'm not afraid," just like that. And then I realized afterwards, of course, that's exactly what I was. I wasn't like I felt fear, but I just didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was happening. And when he said, "Don't be afraid," then I brought in another aspect of meditation, which to me is the most important, which is devotion. Which is devotion to God, devotion to Guru, trust in the divine force. I don't have to be afraid. I just keep meditating as I have been taught to meditate. I bring my concentration to a relaxed understanding. I am one with the infinite spirit. The divine will guide me. And then it all has a way of taking you where you need to go. Does that make sense? It's a very important question, especially in this country where people are much more open than they are in the West. A lot of things happen. And go along for the ride. Yeah.
See, actually, I've been meditating a little bit for the last few months.
Uh-huh.
Trying to do something on my own. But then this technique that you were talking about, the Hong Saw technique.
Uh-huh.
Now, in the beginning, a technique works. So let's say, for example, breathing, you focus on your breath. So
Yeah.
you breathe, you focus on your breath. Then after that, it becomes a habit, your mind starts wandering all over the place again. So how do you come to that?
That's the great challenge of meditation. Okay, you're watching the breath, you're doing the mantra, you're concentrating on the feeling. There is no end to fulfillment in the idea that I am one with the infinite spirit. So if one finds oneself restless with that thought, you simply have to concentrate much more deeply on that thought. Most people quit too soon. They just get a little bit of peace and they get restless. They think there's nothing more. There's so much more behind it. But that is the practice. However it manifests, it begins to make you nervous. Now, take level 2 class, learn a few more techniques, stay with it for a year and get Kriya initiation, become in relationship to the masters, develop a devotional relationship with the gurus or whatever form of God inspires you, and all those things begin to enrich the experience, and it becomes anything but dull. If it's becoming dull, you need to re-inspire yourself in some way, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to go find something else to do. If you play the piano for 5 lessons and you find it boring, you have to just keep doing it, because if you do, then something really happens. If you stop, then nothing ever happens. You're always on the surface. So it has to be said that in the end, the ability to meditate is the grace of God, and especially the grace of Guru, which is why the progress through these levels to Kriya involves a relationship of discipleship to the masters, because we need a teacher. We can guess what's good, and we may have a good instinct for a while, but at a certain point, we need the presence in our life of someone who can really pull us where we're trying to go, and that ultimately is what changes everything. You can go a long distance without that, but at a certain point, that changes everything.
The thing is, at least for me,
Yeah.
it's difficult to trust in the sense, why,
Yes.
will this person actually be able to help me?
That's absolutely, it's difficult to trust. Of course it's difficult to trust. If you're a thinking person with a strong will of your own, you shouldn't just turn yourself over to the first person who comes who says they can help you. That would not be wisdom, that would be foolish. And you need to be very wide awake and pay attention. But the difficulty with high intelligence and this is a paradox of the spiritual path. I love this paradox. Okay, everybody on the planet just takes life as it is. This is what I was saying to you earlier about when I was a young girl and I thought they all knew something, and it turned out they really didn't know anything. I mean, they were lovely people. I don't mean to just condemn the whole world, but they didn't know Sanatana Dharma. They didn't know self-realization. They just lived, they took life as it was. Now, all of you are in this room, but most of the citizens of Chennai are not, because it didn't interest them. So it takes a certain creative will. It takes a certain separation from the world around you. It takes a certain determination to look at life and say, I'm not just going to go where everyone else is going to go. I'm going to plant a rock in the river, and I'm going to chart my own course. That personal determination and power brings you into contact with teachings and teachers. Otherwise you don't even notice them because you're not looking. But then there's this moment that happens where your own authority and your own understanding has brought you to this point, but then you also realize that you are in the presence of those who know much more than you, and that which has served you well unto this point now has to be turned. But it is not in any way a diminution of your willpower, your intelligence, your discrimination, your self-determination. It's simply using all those things to recognize wisdom when you actually see it, and not become so convinced of your own authority or so suspicious of the possibility of wisdom that you don't see it when it's right in front of you. And this is where intelligence, intuition, common sense, and experience all have to just play together. The best way you can tell whether a teaching is valid, because here is Swami Kriyananda, whom many of you saw the other night. Here is Paramhansa Yogananda, who hasn't been on this planet, for many, many years. Yes, all of these great souls. Here is Babaji living in the Himalayas. These souls are still accessible to us, but not so easily. Swami Kriyananda, whom I have lived closely with for 40 years, is now 86 years old. It's not too much time left. The experiences that I've had with him are not going to be available to many people. So how you can tell what a teaching is by looking at the people who follow it, because they are the fruit of the practice. And I speak of myself in this. I speak of Swami Kriyananda as an example of Yogananda. I speak of Devendra and Amit and Brian and Duty and the people that you're meeting today, and others whose names I don't know but who follow these teachings. Look at them. Watch them carefully. Sometimes you find your master because you like his disciples, and because his disciples are the kind of people that you want to be. And they demonstrate to you the fruit of this practice. And if you like what you see, that's at least another reason to take a step forward. My husband came to this path, meeting the disciples. He really liked the people who followed Swami Kriyananda, and that really persuaded him that a good tree makes good fruit. Because if you go to any ashrams, there's a quality. You know, and the disciples reflect the master. All of Krishna's soldiers look like Krishna. And that's a very objective way. Because you may not be able to measure Swami Kriyananda, although you can read his books, but you can measure those who follow him. I did not feel attracted to Yogananda until I met Kriyananda. And I was so impressed by him that I thought, if he's devoted to Yogananda, then this Yogananda has something to give me too. And as soon as I went that way, all of a sudden that it opened up to me. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's a very important question, extremely important. Any others? Yes.
I have two questions. So my first question is, do we always need to do the meditation with closed eyes, or can we do it with open eyes? Because I could see Babaji's picture. It's with an open eye, but with a meditation posture. And I've also seen Lord Buddha's statue or some of his pictures with an open eye.
Why don't you answer this, Devendra?
It's none of these, neither open nor closed. It's both actually. It's none of these and both. We say the ideal, the position for meditation is when your eyes from the lid, the lower eye goes up and your upper eyes comes down and they meet halfway through. That's a very ideal position for the eyes. If you look at the picture of Lahiri Mahasaya, you'll see that. But we want to, in the beginning, we want to meditate with the eyes closed. Why? Because when we see outside the things, we start getting distracted. And if we start trying to achieve that position of the eyes, I see most people, when they meditate, they try to achieve that, say the eyes, they flicker like this. And it's not good actually. So what we say in the beginning, meditate with the closed eyes. And as you meditate, as you progress in meditation, it will be natural. As your energy rises up, you'll see that your eyes also starts moving up. Your eyebrows, the lid of the eyes, they will also come to natural positions. So don't worry about these things in the beginning. Just start with the closed eyes and meditate.
Yeah. Is that a good? Did you have two questions? Did you say?
My second question is, maybe it might be a bit crazy, but it is.
We like crazy questions.
Meditation is the only way to reach the super consciousness.
Is it the one way to reach it?
Only way to reach the super consciousness?
No, devotion and service also can take you to super consciousness, but eventually through devotion and service you will end up meditating. Meditating in the sense that your consciousness will transcend this world and you will perceive another world. Meditation is simply a very efficient way to do it because we are made in a certain way. That's what it is. In the Gita it says, Arjuna, be thou a yogi. And what that actually means, as Swami Kriyananda has expressed, it's very interesting. He says a yogi works with things as they are. And the most obvious thing that is that we are in a physical body. And that physical body has an enormous influence on our consciousness. Swami Kriyananda recently published a commentary on Patanjali, demystifying Patanjali. A gentleman here was speaking about Patanjali. And so it's a very, very good book. I just recently read it. And let me think what the point was now. Hold on, because I lost it for a second. Oh, yes. Patanjali talks a tremendous amount about just what an illusion this body is. But to get to the fact that it's an illusion, we need to work first with the way it functions. So, this sounds so simple. Watch the breath. But there's an enormous esoteric reality behind that. Because we are in a body and we are always breathing. So for us just to get somewhere else, we need to work through from where we are. Think of it like this. I have in my backyard of the home that I live in California, there's an apple tree there. And I eat the apples, and every apple has a seed in it. And I sometimes look at that little seed and I think how fascinating, this tiny little seed could be that apple tree. But for that seed to become that apple tree, think of how many stages that seed's going to have to go through. And there's absolutely no way for that seed to become an apple tree without moving through every one of those stages. So if I want it to be an apple tree, I have to cultivate it and take it through every one of those stages of growth. Eventually it will become its destiny, but it can't get there by any other route. So when we're working with yoga, and we are fortunate in this age that these esoteric teachings have come down out of the Himalayas, and we're sitting in the middle of Chennai, and all of you have jobs and families. We don't have to renounce the world. We don't have to climb into the mountains. We don't have to live on roots and berries. You know, we can just be where we are and yet have this very esoteric teaching that will take us from our apple seed to our infinity. So meditation is one of those things. This is a shortcut. This is the way we're made. Let's use the way we're made. You can turn your back on it, but why? You know, Christian mystics are not really taught to meditate. They tend to get there by the power of their devotion. And they go through all kinds of physical suffering and confusion because they don't have this. So it's much better to go this way. Then everything tends to work itself out more smoothly.
When we'll talk about Raj Yoga in the Level 2 series, there we'll talk about different paths of yoga: Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raj Yoga. And we'll say that at that time that what Patanjali is saying is not a system which you have to follow. It's a different state you will reach, whether you follow the system with its path or not. For example, if you follow Bhakti Yoga, and the things what will happen, what we are doing right now in Bhakti Yoga also, I've seen a picture of a movie of one of the Maharashtrian saint, Saint Tukaram. And what happened, he was shown in the movie that he was chanting, and all of a sudden he sat with very stillness. And his wife comes, he does not even notice it. He was gone in the state which we are trying to achieve right now, just by practicing the Bhakti Yoga. So if you practice Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga, we'll have to pass through all these stages what we are trying to explain you this morning. Whether you accept it or not, you will have to pass through that state. One of the saint in the West, Saint Teresa of Avila, she used to fly in the air. She used to levitate in the air. And when she would become so still, she would start praying. She think that I'm going to pray. But she was so still inside. She did not know about yoga. She did not know about superconscious state. But just because of devotion, just because of her prayer, she would go to that high state which other yogis want to do also.
There are 16 ways to reach God.
Yes. We are trying to focus on only 3 or 4 of them.
All paths lead to the top of the mountain, but you can't get there.
So when you come to the level 2 classes, we'll explain it to you. Yes. Bhakti is the easiest path. That's what we say right now. When you come to the next class, we'll explain it to you more. One more question.
Yes. What was your question? Yes.
Breathing through the third eye, is it our imagination or is it really happening? If it is imagination, do we have to imagine outside going inside or within the body?
I missed the first part. You said breathing through or looking through the third eye? Breathing through the third eye. No, it's not your imagination. If it's here, let me put it like this. This kind of meditation that we're teaching you is you're using sometimes your imagination to put you in tune with something that is actually there. Okay, if I led you in imagination, in a visualization, which could be of benefit, where we imagine ourselves out on a green field and we see a big lake and we sail across the lake and a beam of light descends and we go up on that beam of light. All of that could help bring us into a nice state of consciousness, but nothing that we're imagining is actually there. Okay? Now, when we meditate in this way, affirming that as we breathe in, we're taking in the divine light, as we breathe out, we're surrendering into it. The mantra itself says, I am one with the infinite. We're concentrating at the spiritual eye. We're feeling ourselves to be nothing but breath. We may be affirming it. We may be using our imagination, and I spoke of seeing a light here, which may or may not be helpful to you, to imagine yourself going into that light. You're using your imagination to put you in tune with something that is actually there. So it's very much like in this room right now, if we had a radio receiver, we could tune that radio receiver and we would discover right in this room is filled with radio waves. And we could be listening to the cricket matches and to the news and to the terrible things that are happening around the world and to the music. And it's all in the room right now, but we're not tuned to receive it. So all of the things that we're talking about, the states of consciousness, the experiences, the facts that we're describing, are all present with us right this minute, but we're not tuned to receive it. So what the practice of meditation is, cooperating with what is, we're learning through the practice of yoga how to become the right kind both of a receiving station and ascending station. And to do that, sometimes at first we use imagination. But it's very important to understand that this is not imagination, this is attunement. You're attuning yourself to a vibration that we're not on all the time because we're not focused on it. We're focused on 1,000 other things. It's happening around us and we don't know it. And meditation is to attune ourselves. That's why I call it realization. So we call it increasing awareness. So in a way you might want to say it's not imagination, it's affirmation. You're affirming it, which puts you in tune with it, which then allows you to experience. And there's a point in your meditation you will find, whether it comes quickly or later or intermittently, where all of a sudden, first you were affirming it, and then you're not affirming it. It's just happening. You know, the idea of God's love, of my relationship to the light, of the presence of light within me, of becoming the breath. It's just, you don't really know when it happened, but now it's just happening. And then even in the next meditation, you may have to go back to affirming it, but your affirmation now is strengthened by your actual experience. Does that make sense to your question? Very good.
Some people say that, they were meditating and they became insane. Is this true?
The question is, will meditation make you insane? Well, I think not meditating is already insane, but that's really my own point of view. But let me actually answer you more seriously. You will not go insane doing this meditation, seriously speaking. This is a very safe meditation. This is not a meditation that works violently with your system. This is not a meditation that uses your egoic willpower. When people begin to interiorize their consciousness, they can go not to superconscious, but into subconscious. And so sometimes people start affirming, but they're not working in any scientific context. They are not working under the protection of the masters. They are not offering their energy into the divine. That's why we started with a prayer. You start with a prayer. Lord, help me with this. I want to not only to receive, I want to give. This is the healthy way to do this. And no, it won't make you crazy at all. But yes, there are people who, in the name of meditation, are really just diving into the subconscious world. And they get more and more closed off. In our ashrams, from time to time, people who are not mentally balanced, they're drawn to our ashram because they can tell that we too are not quite living in the world either. And they think that we're kindred spirits. But we very quickly will never encourage such a person to meditate. It's very unwholesome for a person who is lost in the subconscious world to meditate because it only reinforces that. And it's by no means a solution. We do our very best to get such people, really our ashram is bad for them because it reinforces the delusion that they're doing something worthwhile. Yeah, I didn't say that, but crazy people, people who are mentally unbalanced, have gone so far into the subconscious world that they can no longer connect to the objective reality at all. They've moved out of the conscious life. These are stages people go through over the course of many incarnations. You get, this world is too much for you, so you just escape into another one. And you hang out there for a long time, and after a while it doesn't work, doesn't make you happy, and then you come out of it, that's all.
I think we should close now. We have a lunch break, but before that, I wanted to mention 2 more points for the aids to meditation. Which direction to face and where to sit for meditation. That's the 2 questions I will answer, and then we'll practice for 5 minutes and go for the lunch then. Okay. So, which direction to face? East and north. Some people know it already. East. Why face east? Sun rises in the east. We have, as we say, that when to meditate 4 times a day. Same thing applies here also. We have this front of the body is the east. In the esoteric yoga way, this is the east, west, north, and south. So when we align ourselves, there are spiritual, you can say, vibrational forces in the universe which is circulating. When we face east, we align ourselves to those forces, those vibrations, you can say. So that's why east is good, and also it is said that east is the direction for the enlightenment. North is the direction for liberation. But it doesn't matter if you cannot find the direction. If you are in the desert, you cannot say which direction I am. You cannot make excuse that I'm not going to meditate. Face any direction. Any direction you could sit. Then the second thing comes up that where to sit for meditation. We say that make a room, as we have, most of us, we have puja room in our house, isn't so? A special place we make it, put our deities there, put pictures there. Every morning we go take a bath and offer our devotion there. Same thing with meditation also. Every place has their own vibration, has its own vibration. When you go to kitchen, do you think of doing the puja there? Or studying there? No. If we go to kitchen, eat there. We sit in the dining room, in the living room, watch TV sometime, or talk. Go to the bedroom, sleep on the bed. Same way, meditation place also. When we meditate, when we make a special place for meditation, it reminds us, and it also builds up a vibrations of meditations there. When we go to a temple, do we go to eat there? No, we go to pray there. We think of prayers. Although most people are distracted, they think of something else when we go to temple. So that's why it's good to make your own meditation place. Put a picture which inspires you. If one of the pictures from this line of masters inspires you, put a picture there and make it nice, make it sattvic, make it beautiful, put a flower there and meditate there every day. And it will build up a vibration, your own vibrations of meditation there. So those are the 2 things. And anything else? Should we just meditate and close off?
Why don't you lead into meditation?
Okay. So let's all stand up for a moment. We'll be sitting for like an hour and a half. We'll do a very simple exercise called the full yogic breath. It's called the full yogic breath. The key to meditation is relaxation. If your body is tensed, you don't breathe properly, you're not going to meditate properly. So one of the things is to breathe properly for the relaxation. How to breathe properly? Use the whole lungs. Most people, they breathe from the chest only. Why? Either they are tying their belt too tight, they wanted to show they're slim, or whatever, they're tensed also. When we are tensed, we breathe from the top here. We don't breathe from the diaphragm. So this exercise helps us to breathe fully from the diaphragm, from the middle part of the rib cage, the chest also. So when we do that, we are able to relax more properly. Okay? So what we are going to do is here in this exercise, we'll bend down slowly. You can watch me first. We are going to bend down slowly, and as we go down slowly, we exhale completely. And as we come up slowly, we raise our hands, look up, and breathe completely from the chest. And as we go down again, we start exhaling from the top, go to the bottom, slowly, and again come up slowly, breathe from the bottom, fill up from this area, diaphragm area, slowly go up and look up, stand there for a moment and come down. So that will do 3-4 rounds and then sit and meditate. Yes, please. Yeah, we'll do. So as you go down slowly, exhale completely, reach down forward as far as you can go. Doesn't matter if you touch the ground or not. Slowly come up, breathe fully, starting from the base here. Look up, hold the breath for a moment, and go down slowly again, exhaling from the top to the bottom, slowly. Again, come up. Slowly, slowly, filling up all the lungs. Okay, so let's practice it together. Stand in the center first and then start exhaling, go down. Exhale. As you reach down. As you reach down, exhale completely. And as you come up slowly, 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 fill up the lung. Fill the lung up. Lower part, middle part, upper part, look up. Hold the breath for a moment. Be still up, look up. Slowly coming down, exhale to the upper part of the lungs. Then middle part. And as you reach down, exhale completely. Again, come up, slowly up, slowly, slowly, slowly up. Filling the lower part of the lung, middle part, upper part. As you reach up, the upper part is filled completely. Look up. Bring the hands down. Exhale slowly, gently. Upper part, then middle part. And slowly the lower part of the lung. As you go down, exhale completely. Again, last round we'll do. Inhale slowly. Reach up, look up at the sky, fill the lungs completely. And exhale, slowly bring the arms to the sides. And sit down now. Very good. Please be. Yeah. Yeah. Please be seated. Please be seated. So it's going to be a short meditation, 5 minutes only, and we'll explain it to you how to meditate that way. So first find a posture. Make sure your spine is straight, your back is straight, palms facing upward, anywhere on the knees, junction of thigh, abdomen, anywhere you feel. Chin parallel to the ground. If you're sitting on the floor, same thing applies here also. Your spine is straight, chin parallel to the ground. Close your eyes. We'll practice this pranayama even count breathing for about 6 rounds. Exhale completely, throw the breath out completely through the nostril. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath, gaze at the spiritual eye. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale through the nostrils slowly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. Hold the breath, gaze at the spiritual eye. Exhale. Slowly, gently, as slow as possible. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. Slowly, gently, to the nostril. Inhale. Slowly, slowly, as slow as possible. Hold the breath. Exhale. Now sit still without any movement of the body. Feel the breath where you can feel it in the nostril, lower part of the nostril, middle part, anywhere you feel it. Focus your concentration on the breath. But don't control the breath. Let the breath come in and go out as it wants to come in and go out on its own pace. Slowly raise your gaze up at the spiritual eye. And see if when the breath comes, you can chant Hong. And as the breath goes out, chant Sa mentally without moving the tongue. If your mind wanders, bring it back on the breath and focus on the breath. Try not to control the breath, but let it come and go out as it wants to come and go out. Look for the pauses between the breath. Enjoy those pauses as they come. Let's drop the practice of Hangsa and sit in the silence for about a minute. Keep your gaze upward at the spiritual eye and sit still. We close our meditation by offering the healing prayer. You can visualize anyone in need of healing at the spiritual eye, the point between the eyebrows. Visualize this person in the light of God, in the light of Masters. Any kind of healing is needed, physical, mental, or spiritual. We'll rub the hand together and we'll raise the hands and chant Om 3 times. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We have a lunch break now, but as you go out, try to keep your mind, try to keep your consciousness a little bit inward. The peace we feel in meditation, don't let it just go out immediately. Don't start talking to other people immediately. Try to hold it for some time. Try to remember in the daytime. And so that's what we're trying to practice right now. That as you go out, try to be still, try to be silent, try to be yourself. So let's go out for the lunch outside right here.